Hey guys, in today's video I will be doing a tropical update on Tropical Storm Iota once again. Of course we have Theta still that is quickly dying out. It is now a very weak tropical storm. It's at 40 miles per hour, pressure's at 1,000 millibars, and it's moving east at 6 miles per hour. Real quick, let's look at its one of its final forecast tones. You can see it's expected to dissipate within the next 3 days. And yeah, pretty much by Monday, Tuesday, it should be fully history, and we don't really need to worry about it whatsoever anyway. So yeah, that's nothing to really worry about whatsoever. Just a quick mention of that because that is still going on. But really, here's Iota, Tropical Storm Iota. It was having a good bit of trouble trying to get its act together and strengthen throughout much of this early morning hours through about 1 p.m. advisory. And that was most likely due to there was some dry air and the high pressure to its north was kind of suppressing it a bit, having the convection have trouble blowing up around the center and continue to just blow up south of the center. But getting into this afternoon through now, I really was able to start wrapping the convection in and around the center and continue blowing up all that convection around south and all around the center. So it's really started to try to strengthen a good bit now. And at the 1 p.m. advisory, it was a 50 mile per hour tropical storm with pressure at 1,002 millibars. Now, with the newest advisory at 4 p.m. that just came out, it's a 60 mile per hour tropical storm, and its pressure is now down to 995 millibars. And its movement is still to the west-southwest, moving at 7 miles per hour. Now, let's look at the new forecast cone, and you can see there's a hurricane warning, hurricane watch and tropical storm warning for some of the islands to the east of Nicaragua, and then Nicaragua itself has hurricane watches in effect and a tropical storm watch in effect as well for coast of the central and southern coast of Honduras, as well as a hurricane watch in effect for the southern coast of Honduras towards the Nicaragua border. So once again, just like Ada, those kind of same areas are once again under some tropical storm watches and hurricane watches because of the fact that Iota now is forecast to hit those pretty much exact same areas with pretty much some of the same effects. Very heavy flooding rainfall, potential of some potentially pretty life-threatening storm surge as well, and of course strong winds. It is also forecast to get to major hurricane status right as it's approaching landfall there. It seems pretty much in the same exact area that Ada made landfall on the northern coast of Nicaragua around Port Cabezas. So that's very, very terrible news. Yeah, that's what is current newest information for Iota is looking like currently from the National Hurricane Center. And you can see now for the wind speed probabilities, just the tropical storm force wind probabilities, pretty much all the way up to a 80-90% chance of tropical storm force wind probabilities, especially for that northern coast of Nicaragua, where the center of the storm was likely to make landfall. Getting towards later Monday into probably early Tuesday or so. Yeah, like 1 a.m. Tuesday, it seems as of right now. It's pretty much the exact time currently that the storm is expected to make landfall there in northern Nicaragua. And then the 58 mile per hour wind speed probabilities is as high as between 50 and 60% chance for the northern coast of Nicaragua, and then the Honduras coastline there has up towards generally a 20 to 30, maybe 40% chance of 58 mile per hour tropical storm force winds. So there's that, and then the hurricane force wind speed probabilities especially for the northern coast of Nicaragua is all the way up still towards 30 to 40% chance, and the southern Honduras coastline is up to only about a 20% chance of hurricane force wind speed probabilities. All of these probabilities will likely continue to go up in likelihood as the storm continues to move generally towards those areas and continues to get stronger most likely. So that's the unfortunate news there with that as well. Here's the earliest reasonable arrival time for tropical storm force winds. And for pretty much the coast of Nicaragua and Honduras, it looks to be later Sunday evening, early Sunday night, around 9-10 p.m. So you'll likely want to, pretty much Sunday during the day is really the last time frame you'll have to really get ready for everyone living in those regions for this storm. So there's that. Now I'll show you the current, here's the Weather Channel's forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center's new forecast cone with the new up-to-date information with Iota. You can see Iota, of course, again, is at 60 miles per hour now, sustained tropical storm, a strong tropical storm now. Moving west-southwest at 7 miles per hour. And by Sunday afternoon, by tomorrow afternoon, it's already expected to be an 85 mile per hour Category 1 hurricane. And then by Monday afternoon, it's expected to be a 115 mile per hour Category 3 hurricane. So pretty much going towards later Monday into Monday night into early Tuesday morning is generally now the time frame where it's expected to become a major hurricane before landfall, and then it's going to move over Central America and weaken pretty rapidly because of all those very tall mountains in that region of northern Nicaragua and Honduras. So that's a big problem. And then here is the forecast rainfall amounts over the next 7 days according to the Weather Channel. You can see for those northern parts of Nicaragua where potentially the center will make landfall, up towards a foot of rainfall is forecast, and for Honduras up towards a 1.5 foot plus of rainfall is forecast. So that's also really terrible news, just that it's going to be a very, very wet system, just like Eta. So that's going to really add to the real big flooding problems and just still all of the disaster that's still there from Eta in those areas, in those countries. So yeah, that's really, really terrible news with that. Now let's go to tropical tidbits, and let's look at how Iota is looking like on the satellite imagery currently. And you can see, like I was saying, the large amount of that strongest convection is blowing up now around the center and to the east of the center, and it's starting to really wound itself up a bit now with some still really decent spin. It seems like now it's really starting to try to intensify quite a bit. So that is somewhat worrying, of course, just because of the fact that it is now really trying to strengthen. Just still like a few days before it's forecast to make landfall. So we'll have to see what happens with it, but. It's not yet showing any signs of that it's going to, at any point pretty soon, explosively intensify all of a sudden, but, just going into, of course, tomorrow, Monday, and before landfall is really when it's has its peak time potential of really rapidly intensifying into a stronger storm. So we're going to have to really watch this system as we head into tomorrow and Monday. So this is what it looks like currently now in the satellite imagery. Here is the current model track guidance forecast for Iota, and you can see they're all in great agreement that it will continue generally towards the west and make landfall in pretty much the same general region Eta made landfall in northern Nicaragua, and it'll eventually move across Central America, Nicaragua, Honduras, and into the Pacific. So it doesn't look at all likely or any possibility now that it would curve north or anything, or potentially head north towards like the U.S. or potentially impact the U.S. So that's some good news there about Iota, that it's not really expected to impact as many regions as Eta did, but still it's terrible that it's going to be impacting some of the exact same regions that Eta originally did. Here's the GEFS ensemble model track guidance, and you can see this forecast shows it really strengthening and becoming a much stronger system as it's approaching landfall. You see getting down to 977 millibars about 2 days from now, which would be pretty much around Monday afternoon. So that's pretty worrying. And then you can see those reds, some of those deeper reds indicating potentially 970 millibars and eventually even 960 millibars, getting close to landfall according to the GFS ensemble models. Ensemble track guidance. But here's the GEPS ensemble model track guidance, and you can see generally has starting to get in better agreement with what the current general hurricane model tracking guidance is showing and GEFS ensemble model track guidance is showing, but it shows the storm being a much weaker storm because, again, this is the CMC ensemble model track guidance, but generally the CMC has not been a really good model to use for the tropics this year, so don't really pay too much attention to that. Here is the newest run of the model intensity guidance forecast now for Iota, and you can see all of the models really strengthen it over the next day and a half, 2 days, get it towards Category 2, Category 3 intensity, and then it shows it making landfall pretty much around 2.5 days from now, and then really dropping off in intensity, of course, because of that. All right, now let's show you what some of the forecast models. Oh, wow, the 18Z run of the GFS model is just coming in now. Okay, so let's show you the 12Z run of the GFS model and show you what the 12Z run of the GFS model is showing, and then I'll show you what the CMC model is showing, the European model is showing, the HWRF and HMON models are showing for IOTA. So first, we're starting off with the GFS model. You can see moving forward in time, GFS model really shows its strengthening, getting down to 957, 956 millibars, and then making landfall and bringing again those very intense winds, very strong winds, very heavy rainfall, potentially pretty high amounts of storm surge. We'll have to see what National Hurricane Center thinks of the potential of the storm surge. Could be with the storm as it's making landfall there in Nicaragua and Honduras. But again, in any case, it's going to be bringing very, very devastating impacts to those same regions that Eta impacted. So that's really, really bad news. Now I'll show you what the CMC model is showing. CMC model moving out in time. You can see it shows it strengthening up, getting towards landfall, but shows it being much weaker, but still shows it bringing very heavy rainfall to those same general regions, regions that Eta originally impacted and really decimated because of how heavy the rainfall was, and just the really big flooding disaster it caused in those regions, those same regions. Here is the European model showing you the vorticity for Iota. You can see it shows it really winding up, having really great vorticity as it's approaching landfall in northern Nicaragua. Again, in that same general region, Eta made landfall, bringing with it likely some pretty heavy rainfall and strong winds, and likely some pretty damaging amounts of storm surge. All right, now let's show you what the HWRF model is showing for Iota. Let's change this to the radar and MSLP. So here's what the HWRF model is showing for Iota. Bring this forward in time, you can see it's showing it really strengthening as we head towards tomorrow into Monday, and even getting towards, it shows it getting even down towards, into the 930s millibars, so that's a very strong storm, still showing it potentially being, getting towards a Category 4 hurricane even, and then it's showing it's slightly still a bit north of where a lot of the general hurricane models are showing it making landfall in Honduras and Nicaragua, but still generally almost in the same regions where it will still bring very, very heavy rainfall and very devastating amounts of rainfall and flooding as well. So in any case, it really doesn't matter at this point, because models are generally now really starting to get a great handle on potentially where Iota will likely make landfall. So that's it's really, really big problem, really really sad to see. Here's the HMON model, and I'll show you now what the HMON model is showing for Iota. And you can see moving forward in time, you can see it going through now, getting to Sunday, Monday. It's showing it really intensifying, getting down to 950s, 940s, even getting down to 930 millibars right before it makes landfall. And again, those northern Nicaragua regions where pretty much exactly where Eta made landfall, and then again also bringing those very damaging, devastating, what looks like to be a lot of flooding rainfall, and most likely lots of pretty damaging storm surge, and of course very strong damaging winds. So that's a really big problem. I mean, look at that. Let's look at this again. Look at that, 930 millibar Category 4 hurricane. It's a pretty strong Category 4 hurricane potentially. So it's really still not off the table that Iota could get to Category 4 intensity. It seems to be somewhat getting a bit less likely at this point. Maybe just now it seems more likely that it'll just get towards Category 3 intensity before landfall. But of course we don't really know, because it could rapidly intensify at any point and become much stronger than anticipated. So we'll have to really, again, of course, just continue to keep an eye on this storm very, very closely. So that is what generally all of the models are currently showing for the potential of how strong Iota could get, and some of those really damaging impacts it could bring to those same general regions Eta made landfall in Central America. All right, now let's look at the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season Wikipedia page, and we have had such an insanely active, record-breaking hurricane season. This is the most active Atlantic hurricane season on record. We have beaten 2005 for the most active Atlantic hurricane season on record. We've had a total of 31 Depressions, a record high, tied with 2005. 30 named storms, that's a record high, beat 2005 by 2 named storms currently. 12 total hurricanes currently, and 5 major hurricanes. It looks like Iota will become likely our 13th hurricane of the hurricane season, which is just insane, and potentially even our 6th major hurricane of the season. And if Iota does end up becoming our 6th major hurricane of this year's hurricane season, that would put us 1 major hurricane short of tying 2005 for the record highest amount of major hurricanes ever for one Atlantic hurricane season. So that's really crazy in any case, in the end anyway. Total fatalities so far this season is at 324 total. Total damage thus far this season is somewhere above $38.432 billion in damage. So it's been a somewhat deadly and destructive season as well. And of course, with the actual activity that's going on, it's really beaten all kinds of expectations for the forecast from like NOAA and Tropical Storm Risk, Colorado State University, the Weather Channel. So yeah, this Atlantic hurricane season really blew all of those forecasts out of the water and just really went for it to that extreme end. It's insane. We got Theta and Iota named, which is the earliest formation by virtue of just these two names being the first time being used to name any tropical cyclone in the Atlantic. So it's pretty crazy. The total ACE currently so far this season is pretty much at around 160, 165 units. Yeah, it's been a very hyperactive, crazy hurricane season in the end, in any case. So, yeah, we've had now through Theta and Iota, we've had 9 named Greek alphabet storms, so that's really crazy. And, in fact, you know what, real quick, I want to show you this. Let's go back to the GFS model, and we'll go to the 12Z run. And I'll zoom this out to the Western Atlantic again, because I want to show you guys towards the end of the GFS model showing Iota dissipating. It's showing the potential of, there's potential for Kappa down there, a bit farther south than where Iota happened, and then there's that all the way up there at around the same time potential Kappa is occurring, that would be named Lambda. So in general, the GFS model is continuing to show the potential of much more named storms. So the Atlantic continues to be potentially very much alive even after Iota occurs. So there is still lots of potential for multiple more named storms in this year's hurricane season, which is not what any of us want to see or hear. So it's really upsetting and really annoying to hear, and really stressful to hear as well for most likely a lot of people potentially. But in any case, this has been my update for Tropical Storm Iota, which has now become a strong tropical storm with sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. Pressure is now at 995 millibars, and it is forecast to continue to intensify over at least the next couple of days before it makes landfall in northern Nicaragua or southern Honduras, somewhere around those areas, pretty much the same exact regions where Eta made landfall. It's a very devastating strong Category 4 hurricane as of right now officially, but I definitely think Eta ended up being a strong Category 5 at peak intensity. But I do think, though, at landfall, it still was a 140 mile per hour Category 4 hurricane at landfall in Nicaragua. So that most likely won't change, but I do think that the National Hurricane Center, World Meteorological Organization, will up Eta in intensity to being a Category 5 hurricane to some degree. But yeah, in any case, it's really terrible news that Iota is again making landfall in those same exact regions Eta made landfall in. So definitely not something we want to see happen. So just really terrible news. But in any case, this has been my update for Tropical Storm Iota. Really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did enjoy it, found it informative at all, please consider liking the video, commenting on the video. Please comment below what you guys think of just in general this year's hurricane season up to this point, and what you guys think about Iota and what you guys expect with Iota. And also, if you're a first-time viewer and you like what you saw in today's video, if you like tropical content, I do tons of that kind of content on my channel, so please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.